Now let's take a look at our form builder. The form builder is a drag and drop application that allows you to create simple or complex registration forms using one interface. Working from left to right, we have the parts bin, which are all of the things that you can put on the registration form. This includes event questions, packages, and assigners. The form layout is the outline or flowchart version of the registration form and how you as the organizer work with it. In the rightmost pane, we can preview the registration form exactly as it will appear to the attendees. In this video, we'll be discussing how the form builder works, but if you want to see actual event configurations, take a look at our event recipes list in the online documentation. In the parts bin, we can have event questions, packages, and assigners. Using the wrench at the top, we can add new ones, we can filter this list, we can clone to make copies quickly, we can delete, or we can refresh. We can also right-click anywhere to get the same menus. The three types of objects that we have here are event questions. This is just like a club question, except that it collects information on a per event basis. You'll see you have a question, help text that goes along with it, the kind of answer you want to collect from the user. You can make the question required or optional, and if you would prefer to have the user pick from a drop-down list instead of enter free-form text, you can also specify the answer list. You can think about how this might be helpful when you want to collect t-shirt size, for example. Rather than let the user type in whatever they want, you can restrict the choices to M, L, and XL. After you make changes, don't forget to click Save. The second type of item we have is a package. And packages are actually broken out into two tiers, packages and inventory items. What you'll notice is that packages have pricing associated with them. In this case, it's actually negative because this is a discount. Inventory items, by contrast, have a quantity associated with them. Any package can include one or more inventory items. The reason we have this distinction is so you can sell a Saturday and a Sunday separately, but also sell them together at a discounted or different price. This flexibility allows you to have very complex registration forms and very complex pricing strategies, but still never sell more than you actually have available. On a per registration basis, you can also control how many the person must buy with the minimum purchase limit, how many they can buy with the maximum, what the form defaults to, and how many they can buy for free before they begin being charged. If minimum is greater than 0, it effectively makes it a required item. If the minimum and maximum are the same number, it also makes it a required item of that quantity. You can think of a t-shirt item as being one where we might have a minimum of 0, a maximum of 5, a default of 1, and a comps free of 1. And what that would say is that the person gets one t-shirt for free, but they could also order up to 4 more and then pay the $15 or $20 per t-shirt. If they wanted to, they could also opt out of the t-shirt altogether and select 0. Remember, the purchase limits control what a single registration can buy. The inventory item quantities control how many are available in the big picture. We also show you the quantity that you've sold to date, so when you're talking about a potential waitlist situation, you can see exactly how many you have and how many you've sold. You can control waitlisting on a per package basis using this checkbox here. Simple events may have just one inventory item per package, but this event, which has a Friday, Saturday, Sunday option, we can see includes 2 inventory items. The benefit here is that even if we sell out our Saturday, Sunday option, all 100 seats are gone, what will happen is the Friday, Saturday, Sunday option will either disappear from the registration form or will turn into a waitlist scenario. This way you can have any kind of pricing strategy you want while still ensuring you never sell more than what you have available. The third kind of thing that you can put on your registration form is an assigner. The assigner collects information like vehicle, class, segment, number, and so forth to create assignments. You can see here that this particular assigner is going to create an assignment in Saturday, Sunday, and the Friday segments that we looked at just a few minutes ago. You can optionally include some help text, and you get to choose what the person gets to enter. If you don't want them to enter their own class, you could uncheck this box. If on the other hand you wanted to force them to a particular class, you could choose it from the dropdown. In this way you can do everything from not allow them to make a selection, to let them pick their own, to force them into a particular class. This option also exists for groups if you have groups defined. If you're an autocross organization that uses SCCA rules, you may also include packs, which is a class leveling algorithm that allows Corvettes to run against Chevettes. If you don't run solo and you don't run SCCA style solo, this probably won't be of interest to you. If you allow the user to pick their own vehicle number, we'll do one of two things. We'll either provide them with a box where they can enter any number they want, or if your segment is using a reserved number pool that we looked at just a few minutes ago, and that you configure under Club Profile, it will pick up on that number pool and enforce that selection. This can be used for any case where you want to have a reserved or permanent number system. In the center pane is how all of this comes together in order to form the structure of the registration form. The form will appear in this general order from top to bottom. However, if you nest things under each other, it forces the user to make selections before they'll actually see the sub-choices. Let's take a look at the preview. We can see that our questions line up here nice in the same order that they appear in the form layout. And then we see these options, where if we select one of them, we then have the following options. The way that the order form reveals and hides subsequent or children information allows us to build complex registration forms but make them very usable and very simple to the attendee. One thing you might have noticed is that these set of options are mutually exclusive. There are two additional kinds of things you can put in your registration form using the form layout directly. Looking at the form layout wrench, we have the ability to add a new group and a new branch. A group is a mutually exclusive set of options. If you want the user to only be able to pick one of many choices, you want to put all of those choices into a single group. A branch, on the other hand, helps clean up the registration form, so that if you have a variety of trees that a user can go down in terms of making choices, a branch can help simplify the top level or reduce the number of choices visible at the outset. Let's take a look at what this looks like. We'll create a sample branch. And we'll drag and drop some things from the parts bin onto the form layout. You can see we have a simple drag and drop method, and the icon helps indicate where things will fall. The plus icon is showing it will be added to this item as a child, but we can also drag things and drop them in between each other. If you look at the icon, it'll indicate where it's going to fall. In this case, it'll fall between the two existing options. Now let's take a look at how this will appear to the attendee. The sample branch appears just as a checkbox. If we select it, then we'll see our items below it. We'll go ahead and remove this one from this registration form. And now take a look at the rest of the form layout options. Each item on the form has a couple of additional options. One is an additional date range that you can limit the visibility for. By default, all of these items will only be visible between the date that registration opens and registration closes. However, you may have certain circumstances where you want something to be available for only part of the registration time. Examples include early bird discounts or late penalty fees, or perhaps you have a cutoff date to submit banquet information to a caterer. All of these are examples where you might include a sunrise or a sunset date on a single item on the registration form. You can also control who this item is visible to based upon their flags on their member profile. And finally, for complex rules that you may want to enforce on the registration form, we also have validation rules and actions. In this case, the validation rule is checking to see if the person is not 18. If so, it throws an error and prevents them from registering. Validation rules can be used for a number of items, including transponder validation, car number validation, make and model validation, membership verification, and other items. Take a look at the documentation for more ideas about how to use validation rules in the event recipes. Just like with the parts bin, we can also right-click inside of the form layout and do things like add new or clone. This can be a very fast way of duplicating parts of your registration form to create similar or alternate scenarios the user can register for.